How's it going, everyone? So in this box is a special tool called a blind bearing puller. And the reason I just bought this tool is because I bought a used bicycle that came with a very nice set of super lightweight bicycle wheels. And the reason is because those bearings in the wheel actually all started to disintegrate, and it's making a lot of noise, like grinding noise. So I know definitely the bearings needs to be replaced. Now, there are a few videos online that will show you how to remove those bearings without a proper tool. However, I want to do this properly, so that is the reason I bought the blind bearing puller. And this is actually a quality blind bearing puller. The steel made in those tools are very special hardened job forged steel. You can find the same blind bearing puller tool for much cheaper. However, those steels on those pullers are actually stamped steel, like a mold that's being poured into the steel shape and then being drawn out like that. So those tools is not gonna last and they might break in the long run. But with a quality tool, the steel is much harder. It's hardened, just like those quality hex screws. They're not gonna strip, or they're not gonna fall off of the edge of those pullers. So I'm gonna open up the box and we're gonna take a look on the actual tool itself. All right, I'm gonna open up the box. And this tool is humongous and it's very heavy, okay? Bought it just for servicing the bearings on the hub. Here we go. Blind bearing removal tool. Okay, in a nice blue box. And this is made by a company called Motion Pro. I believe those are originally designed as quality motorcycle bearing service tools. However, in the bicycle industry, there are some bearing pullers, like the Park 2 bearing puller, which are extremely expensive. It's like almost $400 for a set of tool. I think it's a little crazy for home mechanics, that want to service their own bearings. And this tool is half the cost, and it also comes with a wide range of pullers, so you're still able to service all kinds of bearings within that range. I think it's around 6mm all the way up to 32mm in the diameter, which is the internal size of the bearing. So let me just show you guys really quick what those bearings looks like. So those are the bearings that I'm gonna actually put on the bike once I get the old ones removed. As you can see, the hole is pretty big, so this tool should be able to pull all the bearings out from the wheels. Okay. So just you guys are wondering what the noises are. My cat is having a lot of fun checking out the box, okay? So please excuse her. All right, I'm gonna open up the pack, take a look. Wow. Beautiful tool. So it's my first time using those tools. So I might have to take a look at the instructions on how to properly use them. However, I've already seen quite a lot of online videos on people using the blind bearing tool, pulling different kinds of bearings. So I would assume the process will be same. Basically, you find a little tool, a little tooth that's actually the size that would fit into your bearing. And then you attach this to this giant, I think a 3-pound, like a sliding hammer. So with that force, you'll be able to pull the bearing out with the tool attached to the top here. Okay, so the concept is pretty simple. Okay, pretty simple, and it's just like that. And then to get those tools into the bearing, there are little ears on the tip. So you find the correct size. Once the size is found, you kind of start to turn this tool either clockwise or counterclockwise to get those ears opened up. Once it's opened up and grab the bearing, you just do this with a force and the bearing should come out, okay, in theory, okay? So let me get things started up, and obviously I need to, again, just to make sure, I'm gonna read through the instructions, and we're gonna try to pull the front bearing on the wheels first because that's the easiest, okay? The rear bearing, one is in the hub and two is in the hub, and one is on the actual cassette, is on the cassette thing itself, okay? So it's really nice that those bearing pullers, the tools are well marked with respective size of the bearings that they can pull. So, and again, very important is you only using the marked size of the puller for the size of the bearing that you're gonna pull. Never use one that's too small or one that's too big, okay? And not only that, the bearing size pullers are, the bearing sizes for those pullers are also marked at the bottom of the box. So it's very, very easy to read and access. Just give you guys a closer look. So this one works for the bearings from 8 millimeters all the way to 30 millimeter. That's their intended bearing size pulling capability, okay? And you know, it looks to be a well-made tool, and we'll have to start using it to find out. And that is why I'm gonna leave this aside for now, because we have to get those wheel bearings exposed first. So again, the front wheel for the Mavic Cerium SLX, it's actually extremely easy to service, for at least for this one, okay? So for the front, you're gonna remove the little protective cover first on two sides. And all you need for the front is a Allen key. So on one side of the hub in the front is a 5 millimeter hex wrench spot. You lock this here, and on the other side is actually the ring that you can turn. So I'm just gonna, since I don't have the special tool for the Mavic, I'm just gonna grab the edge just a little bit and then just turn it like slightly, and it should be able to get it loosened enough so you can get you can start turning it manually, okay? So obviously over here, I'm already opening up the hub. And once this cap comes off, the bearing is immediately exposed, okay? So you're gonna leave all the things aside and pull the rod out. Leave the rods on the side as well. Get a piece of paper. All right. And the bearing is exposed. This one is the original bearing, which I think is actually a higher quality bearing than the one that I got. The one I got is from a company called Hub Doctors. They sell those hybrid ceramic bearings that you can replace the original one for. Now, I really can't use the bearing right now. The most important thing I'm worrying about is getting those pulled out, because I'm also getting a bearing press for those bearings to properly press those bearings in. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to remove it, because it's the most important part. So now we're gonna get the tool out, and this one is, I believe, a 12 millimeter hole right here for both bearings. This is the number 6901, okay? So that's a bearing size. And it looks like this 12 millimeter is gonna work fantastic. And if we go 15, it's way too big. So 12 is the way to go. And I am gonna just leave the tool in here. And I'm gonna start turning this to try to get it opened up, okay? Once it opens up and locks onto the teeth very nicely, so you need to make sure it's nicely situated in there and it's nice and flush, okay? So right now, it's nice and flush. It's nicely situated in there. Give you guys a closer look. See? So this is the bearing puller and it's locking onto the bearing. Very nice and firm. I'm not using a tool to tightening it because hand tightening is more than enough to get it situated. And now to the heavy 3-pound sliding hammer action that we're gonna be doing. Okay, so I am gonna mount this rod onto the bearing puller. And once it stops, we're just gonna do that and hopefully pull the bearing out. It's probably gonna be pretty loud, but let's see. Okay. And it's also nice to just have your wheels or have your tires installed because it actually serves as a stopper, okay? And you want to make sure you pull very perpendicular to the direction of the bearing. So I'm gonna give it a try, see if we can pull it out, okay? Here we go. And if it gets loose, I'm gonna retighten it and we're gonna try it one more time. Here we go. Super nice and super easy, okay? Wow. Now I'm a firm believer of a proper, good quality bearing puller, a blind bearing puller, okay? So it actually removed the wheel without much efforts at all. And so now I'm gonna loosen this and just get the bearing out. So this one, I think one side of the bearing, yeah, it's really gritty inside. But I think the most gritty one is actually on the other side, and we're gonna get it out and hopefully we'll put the new bearing in by some alternative methods, okay? All right, so exact same way. Now you'll see why this tool is worth the money, because your wheel is more expensive than this tool and you definitely want your wheel to last longer, okay? So I just loosened the collar a little bit and I'm gonna put the collar in here and then retighten the collar. But it might be easier to do with the top part detached because the top part is too heavy. Okay, right here. And we're gonna do it one more time. And again, the kind of steel is very important for those tools because the amount of force applied to the edge of that is immense, okay? You don't want a crappy steel that, you know, immediately strips if you apply more force than needed. But this tool definitely worth every penny, okay? All right. So it's kind of grabbed down tight. And this time, you know what? I'm actually gonna make it slightly tighter. Just slightly tighter, so it's nice and firm, nicely grabbed. Again, installing the handle is pretty much just, you know, matter of aligning it. All right, so last bearing that we're gonna pull, I'm gonna try to use a slow motion and see if it would work. Oh my God, guys, I'll tell you that this 9mm bearing on the aluminum, you know, grabbing area over here is extremely hard to pull off. It took me at least 4 or 5 blows, and the very last blow, I was able to pull it out with a very quick and very powerful blow on the hammer. So the tip I'm gonna have for you guys, if you're getting a blind bearing puller, when you apply the force and when you apply the blowing force, make sure it's nice, fast, and steady. Like, That's the way to get the bearing out. And this bearing has been in here for so long. Another trick I did was I used a hair blow dryer, apply quite a lot of heat on the exterior and the hub area. And so after that, I was able to pull this out. And I tried so many times before that, it didn't work. So I don't know if it's my firm blowing action or the firm blowing action plus the heat that pulled the last bearing out. But it's quite a lot of work. So be prepared. Some bearings are gonna be extremely hard to pull off, okay? But I got all my bearings out, and that actually concludes this video, because the bearing installation is gonna be a separate video. I still need to wait for my tool to come to press those bearings in. But trust me, the installation is not gonna be as hard as removal. And to remove, you definitely need a very quality blind bearing puller, okay, for your hubs. Otherwise, if you get the cheap tool, you might not even be able to pull those out. That's my speculation, and that's why I went ahead and got a quality tool that's gonna last me quite a long time. And if you guys also have motorcycles, if you guys have mountain bikes that use a lot of bearings on their suspension parts, this tool is gonna be extremely helpful, okay? Because this tool pretty much pulls all the bearings in this size range. I mean, probably even skateboard bearings. Yeah. So again, I'm quite impressed with the quality of the tool and the abuse that it took, because trust me, when I said, you know, a couple times of the blowing, it's a couple times of pretty hard blowing to get that bearing out. And so this is Motion Pro blind bearing puller. If you guys have any questions about this tool in particular, or how to remove your bicycle hub bearings, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below. Otherwise, Sesame's helping me recording the video again. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, please do hit the like button or subscribe, and I should have more similar contents coming out for you guys, okay? So thanks again, and take care.